Hi.
Welcome back to the channel.
And if you're new here, how did you get into my house?
So because everyone seemed to enjoy the last video we did, we've decided to do another reaction video to Goths on talk shows.
I swear the next video on this channel won't be a reaction video. It'll be like another subculture styles or a makeup video.
Cosplay video.
Ignoring the fallout all over my face. Like I said in the last video, these videos are always really fun to watch because they're so like over the top and sensationalized. Today's clips are from a show called Vanessa, which I've never seen or heard of before in my life, and it is a section about vampires and goths. So let's go ahead and jump into the clips.
Today we'll be meeting people not often seen in daylight. Vampires.
Production budget is high. I've high hopes for this.
I love how she's just like groping the coffin.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do if I had a coffin. I have a coffin in storage that I can't get my hands on yet, but when I do, I'm gonna be like,
can't get her hands
welcome
on
home, baby.
Yeah, I can already tell this is gonna be something. Definitely gonna be something.
Hello, welcome to the show. Now I expect at some time we've all dressed up as ghoulies, ghosties and long-legged beasties for Halloween. But how many of us would want to be a full-time vampire? Well, my first guest does. She's even gone so far as to have some fangs made by her dentist. Let's welcome Sue. Give us a smile. Oh.
So I literally just had these fangs beside me and I decided to put them in. But I would love to get fangs put in from the dentist. Every day I'm learning more and more about it and I really want to do it and I'm saving up money towards it. Her fangs look pretty big actually. I'm surprised. They don't look like they're from the dentist.
You can get like a fill-in composite.
Yeah, you
put
can.
On top of your teeth and then they will sharpen it so that they are bigger. It was never seemed like it was a normal thing that you could just ask your dentist to resharpen it. I have a broken canine in the past like 10 years that is just like flat. That I could have used being resharpened. I thought it was only like an American dentist thing, but then I seen that Ollie Sykes had it done.
Yeah, a lot of people, it's very popular now on TikTok and everything. A lot of people are getting fangs. And I'm so jealous because my whole life I wanted it. And I didn't believe either that you could just go into your dentist and say it. So I had a plan in my head to go in and be like, I'm having trouble chewing steak and stuff. Can you just sharpen up my teeth just a little bit? And they probably would have actually just sharpened up a tiny, tiny bit. But I probably would have even been happy with that, honestly.
My main concern is just that I regularly bite the inside of my mouth and tongue as is. So if I had like sharp fangs.
What did your dentist say?
He thought I was very strange, very strange.
How much did he charge you per fang?
Per fang, £15 per fang.
And it's attached to a sort of thing, a plate at the top of your mouth?
Yes, it's just the same as a brace would be, except a lot more comfortable and I can talk normally.
So they're fake.
Every country you go to, the price is going to be different to go and get fangs. The cheapest that I've seen so far is like maybe 500 per fang. It's a lot, like.
This was 26 years ago. This clip is
also,
from...
she didn't get actual fangs.
A bridge would be more expensive because it's like almost like a veneer you put over your teeth.
I don't know why I imagine that she can like take it out and put it back in.
Yeah. That's what a bridge is.
It's all very cheap back then. I don't know.
Yeah, £15 in 1995 was the down payment on your mortgage, basically.
Now, why on earth would anyone want to spend 30 quid on a couple of fangs?
It's the shock value. That's part of it, anyway. Part of the fact I can walk over to a man, bite him on the neck, and he feels it very much.
Last Saturday night alone, your neck biting totaled... How many?
Six men.
Now, were you strangers?
Yes, complete strangers, never met them before. A couple of them walked over to me and said, you know, I have fantasies about women with long teeth, would you mind biting me? So of course I obliged. I don't like to leave people wanting.
Women with long teeth. It's not that, just long teeth.
Just long teeth in general.
You come from Stoke and that's the way people behave in Stoke?
Well, I have approximately 60 people. I run a game and we meet every 4 to 6 weeks and everybody dresses as a vampire. And we are vampires, basically.
Yeah, I'm not going to dunk on the whole LARPing thing because I actually think it's pretty cool. And a few years ago, we were actually seriously considering going to, I think it's called the Convention of Thorns. I know they don't do it anymore. I think the company got sold. It's basically like a giant LARP where everyone goes and you're in this like big castle in like Eastern Europe and you're all given roles and it's like a whole weekend where everyone has to play out this like giant storyline. And like I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's so cringe. But I honestly think like that is so fun. It's like a murder mystery, But like for vampire enthusiasts, that's cool. Like I personally think that's cool.
Just tell us what it is you do for a living.
Well, at the moment I'm in my 3rd year of a 4-year course of a teacher training degree.
I mean, I have to say, you know, would you like to entrust your children to this vampire? I mean, really. Occasionally you have been known to go into teacher training college with your fangs in.
Yes. All my classmates tend to call me nicknames now. They tend to crack a lot of jokes about whether I'd like a pint of blood with my lunch.
They're always so obsessed with their jobs. What's your job? Like, you can't look like this and have like a normal job. But like, yeah, obviously you can. Like, and why would it be weird? Like, obviously I wouldn't go into work looking like this fully all the time.
That's
like,
what they
does it-
imagine,
yeah.
though.
But what would it matter if I did? You know what I mean? Why would it make me any like different at being capable of doing my job? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
especially
oh
if you
no,
work
you've-
as a teacher, though. It's
You've
like,
got eyeshadow on. Like, yeah, but kids don't care. Kids find that stuff cool.
from
Things
working
like
with
that.
kids, they were actually kind of mean to me, to be honest. And I like toned down, like I didn't look like this at all. I just went in dressing normal. But they were like, your hair is so black, you're so pale, you're so scary. They were always kind of like that to me. And people were always like, you work with kids, you look the way you look. And I'm like, well, I don't look like that when going to work. But still, kids were still kind of like weird to me, to be honest.
Anytime I've ever been like around children and I've been like semi like gothed up or whatever, they're usually like really like fascinated by it more than anything. Like they're interested in it because kids are generally way more open-minded because
Yeah.
that sort of like narrow-minded stubbornness hasn't been like programmed into them yet. Obviously it's not like all kids. Some kids are, their parents are going to raise them unfortunately like that and they are going to immediately be like hostile or like closed-minded against things. But generally like the majority of children don't care. They're just fascinated by it. So it depends how far your look goes. Obviously if you've got a really creepy look then you're going to scare children. But like this woman is in a red velvet dress with fangs. Like the kids aren't going to care. They're just going to be like, oh cool, vampire. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm actually a parent governor at a school, and there's no way that I would actually have you in my school.
Why not?
No. Because your ideas to society today are wrong. You're enacting a part that you wish to be within yourself. You're not letting people see you as a person. You're hiding behind a...
Well, not really, because
Come
I
on.
don't do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, but you say you bite necks and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's rubbish.
Well, lots
Show
of
me-
people,
show me the
lots
marks
of
on your
people
neck.
bite necks. You show me someone
Show
who
me the
hasn't had a
marks on
hickey
your
in
neck.
their
Yeah,
life.
but show me the marks on your neck.
She makes a really good point with the hickey thing. Like, oh,
Show me
'cause-
someone who hasn't bitten a neck.
Yeah, but not even that. It's just kind of like what I do outside of work. And I know she probably is just saying because she goes to work like that. But like she's like, oh, well, you bite people like outside of work. What you do outside of work isn't really anything to do with what you do inside. Like I'm sure she did some things. I'm sure like other people do things and you don't need to think about that or like think that they're going to be unfair at their job because of that. Like what the
What irritates me more is that she's like literally arguing against her own point. Oh yeah, like this is just an act, like this is just a front, like this you're just hiding behind this thing or whatever. Well then then why would it matter? Like if you're aware that this woman doesn't actually think she's a vampire, you're aware that she has full cognitive like control and is aware of the fact that she's just a human that enjoys dressing up like this and acting like this, then why would you care?
Watching too much movies.
Well, it did start
She
with
doesn't go
films.
to bed at night, I mean.
It did start with films, yes. I agree totally. However, I'm not hiding behind anything at all. I have a life, I have a persona, which is my own.
Yes, but if you're role-playing, how do you know your role-playing is not going to go into your real life, your everyday life? That's why you can't be a teacher. It can't happen.
Question from the lady over there.
And what does your parents think of this? Well, I didn't go directly into being a vampire. I started first by basically putting on white makeup, black lipstick, black eyeliner, occasionally wearing a black wig because I don't like to dye my hair black, and going out to nightclubs dressed like that. Well, I wouldn't be seen dead like that.
I wouldn't be seeing dead like that. First of all, I think that's the point. Also, fully grown woman in her 3rd year of university. What do your parents think about this? Kind of irrelevant, nah? Like, if they were 16 years old, what do your parents think about this? Yeah, totally fair. This is a fully grown woman who's nearly finished university and is working. Like, what do your parents think?
My next guest is a psychologist who says, save your fangs and outfits for Halloween. She's provoked quite a lot of hostility and outrage in the audience already. Do you feel outraged?
Not especially. I think so long as it remains at the role-playing level, there's little harm in it. It's a bit like the Star Trekkies. somewhere between a fantasy and a fetish.
Gotta say, I was expecting this psychologist to come on and be a complete ass about this whole thing and just be like, this is unhealthy nonsense that you're getting into. You need to give it up. He's actually speaking mad sense. The fact that he's saying, yeah, as long as like it's just like a healthy role-playing thing that you keep separate outside of like the other aspects of your life and you don't get too like emotionally and mentally involved in it to the point that you think it's real, then yeah, there's no problem with that at all. And I love the fact that he brought the comparison to like Trekkies and stuff. He's like, yeah, that's fine. Like people dress up in Star Trek costumes and go to conventions, or dress up in Star Wars outfits, or like these days Marvel costumes and like superhero costumes and go to conventions and stuff, and no one bats an eyelid at that. But if you throw on a cape and a pair of fangs, everyone all of a sudden thinks that you're a weirdo. I'd also like to add that in that vein, that you and all of your buddies throwing on football uniforms and sitting around watching games and shouting at the television is of a similar thing. It's the same thing, just of a different degree.
They're not cosplaying as footballers.
Well, oh really? They're wearing someone's jersey with that person's name on it. How is that any different? You walking around in
thought about it like that.
you walking around in a Tom Brady jersey, going and getting football collectibles and stuff. It's the same thing, which just yours is considered more normally acceptable by general society. Like,
but is someone like Sue, who's so obviously susceptible to this whole Dracula thing, I mean, is she just a very sad kind of sickie, or is she quite normal?
Not really. If she's having a good time, I see no harm in that. I think...
Now they're clapping. They weren't.
What?
They clapped before for the opposite.
Yeah, they were all like, yeah,
Confused.
boo, you're a weirdo. And then they turn around and try paint her to be like mentally ill, and the psychologist is like, no, like she's just having a bit of crack, like makes no difference, she's just doing what she wants. And everyone's like, yeah, like what?
That's weird.
Yeah, like what side are you on? I think maybe there's cue card, there's definitely like clap, you know what I mean? It's definitely someone holding like cards telling them what to do, and they just have no idea.
Or they split the audience. It's like,
all right,
if you agree here, if you disagree over
who
here.
thinks she's weird? Sit over here.
Yeah.
Don't think she's weird? Over here.
It can, of course, become obsessional and border on a psychotic delusion, and I don't think drinking other people's blood is a good idea. You're liable to pick up hepatitis or worse. And if you are sort of creeping into other people's bedroom windows and biting unwilling victims, then obviously it's over the top.
I like to perfectly agree with that point. I don't care like what anyone does. It does not bother me. I mean, don't bite me. Don't come up with, obviously don't come up, encroach on my personal space. But if you want to dress up like whatever the hell you want and go around like doing this, like anything with the other consenting like adults who are like, this is just what we do, this is this thing we do, I don't care. But he made a fantastic point, and this is one I've always agreed with as well. As long as you're aware of the fact that what you are doing is like role play, or you know, like just a bit of fun or whatever, as long as it doesn't consume your entire being to the point where you actually think that you're a living vampire. And I'm not just honing in on vampires here, all other like things similar to this, as long as you're aware of the fact that it's not real, then that's fine. But once it starts to become a thing of where you're actually like, I'm a 6,000-year-old vampire, you need to sit down and reevaluate things.
But with that being said, I also understand that there are people out there who identify as vampires, and they're just like, you know, this is the lifestyle that I want to live. You know, they're like, what makes me different than other vampires? Because they drink blood. I mean, yeah, they probably don't fully only feed off blood. I'm sure they have to like eat food too, but they drink blood, so they're just like, yeah, I'm a vampire. And I'm just like, oh, I'm fine with that. Like, yeah,
escapism is fine, but when it becomes a point where you are literally convinced that you are an immortal vampire who cannot walk in the sunshine and must only feed on blood to survive, that's a problem, and you probably need to seek help.
Right, my next guests have had a vampire wedding and have recently changed their surname by deed poll to Dracule. Let's have a warm round of applause, please, for Lily and Justin. God, you're looking splendid, you two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This wedding of yours, this vampire wedding, what were you wearing for it, Lily?
I wore an ivory lycra and lace dress that had a fitted bodice.
And white makeup and stuff?
Yeah, the blood red lips and the nails and...
I think the person who got the biggest shock was either your mother or the vicar. Which one?
The vicar.
Yeah, definitely the vicar.
He wasn't actually sure if he could cope with it.
Absolute balls to have a wedding like that in an actual Catholic church.
I would probably do it.
Most people I know who've done stuff like this, just, you know, like non-religious, like non-sectarian, just like outdoor ceremonies and stuff. In the 90s in a small village in England, getting your local vicar to agree to this, Power moves.
You had 2 wedding cakes.
2.
Yeah.
You're living life correctly. 2 wedding cakes. That's the way to go. 1 for me and 1 for everyone else.
Cool. Now you've got a little sort of Dracula baby.
Yes, a miniature.
You dressed him almost entirely in black.
Yeah.
And we've got a picture of him. Oh, look. And just tell us what your little Dracula baby's names are.
His full name is Jareth Valen Lestat Dracul.
Can that be my name, please?
Their baby is so cute.
Excuse me.
They are goals. They had their big vampire wedding and now they've got their cute little vampire baby and they're just out there living their goth vampire life. That child is younger than us. Just by a little bit.
I wonder if they kept the name.
Yeah, I mean, they should be pretty easy to find on Facebook. I'm going to have to have a look after this video because they should be pretty easy to find on Facebook.
I don't disagree with the fact that you actually bring your child up to know something different about life as to what everyone terms as normal in this day of life. But don't you think that you ought to prepare him for what his friends are going to say and what people are going to say? And, you know, how does he live?
This is the only argument I actually have against this kind of stuff. Yeah, obviously, like, you raise your child however you want and you want to expose them to these things that you like so that they're desensitized to it and they're not, like, scared of stuff or whatever, you know, like, growing up, and they won't find it, like, weird or creepy or whatever. But, like, kids are pretty brutal to other kids growing up. If you're separating your child from the societal norm by giving them, like, a name like that and dressing them a certain way, I'd always be worried. Like I was bullied relentlessly as a kid and in school just because I had long hair and I dressed weird. Like, you know, I'd just be so worried they would be bullied. Like,
I mean, when they come to a certain age, they can decide for themselves how they want to dress, what music they want to listen to. So all kids are forced to wear things until they get to a certain age when you can start dressing yourself, you know? As far as bullying and stuff goes, I don't know. Like, obviously it was different for you. For me, like, as a person, it just made me stronger anyways. So for me, I never really thought about that. But I'm not going to let it affect me and the way I live. And this is how I want to live and this is my lifestyle. So obviously if I had a kid, yeah, we already have the names picked out and they're not normal. Obviously when they start going to like play school and stuff, if they were going into play school and people were saying stuff to them, then yeah, I would probably change it. But at the same time, they're going to see us dropping them off at school, and if they say something to them because of that, I mean, there's nothing I can do, because even when I dress normal, people still think I look weird and people still say things to me just because I'm pale and I have black hair, which genetically, like, that's how I look. What could I actually do?
yeah, I feel like on one hand it's like, well, if they're not being bullied for that, they're probably going to be bullied for something else. Probably going to be
Kids
something.
get bullied every day for literally like normal things, anything.
But I also disagree on the bullying, like, makes you stronger thing, because the only valuable life lesson I learned from someone setting my hair on fire in school is that hairspray is incredibly flammable.
I'm kind of just like desensitized, which is probably a good thing and a bad thing. But people can say whatever to me, and I'm just happy to live my life, and I'm not afraid to dress anyway or like listen to anything weird or just do anything weird. You have to stand up for yourself, and I just stood up for myself and just did whatever I wanted from the beginning. So it was never like a thought or an issue for me to change ever. I don't know, like, I was bullied a lot, I was in a lot of fights, but I would never ever once even think about changing, ever.
Well, I mean, I still look like this. So obviously it didn't have that profound an effect on me.
My next guest, Leslie, says she's immortal. She enjoys relaxing in her coffin with a nice cup of warm blood. In fact, she says she is a real vampire. She's kindly braving the daylight for us today, so let's welcome Leslie. Are you having us on or what?
No, not at all.
You don't really think you're a vampire?
I know I'm a vampire.
How do you know you're a vampire?
Well, my definition of a vampire is a person who drinks blood, and I drink blood. Therefore, I am a vampire.
That's a
Changing the
vampire.
definition of something to suit what you want to say does not make it any more factual.
This is what she's telling you. She also said she's immortal, so we'll see what she has to say about that.
She is winding them up on purpose.
She
to be
was
fair.
laughing, but
Yeah, she's 100% doing this just as a wind up, like intentionally trying to antagonize
But you
them.
know, like,
Which I fully understand, and I said in the last video,
Yeah.
I was like, I completely get it. If that's the way you want to play it, if you want to come on these shows and just wind people up and just try get a rise out of them, fair enough. Like, if that's your call to do it. Like,
How do you end up drinking blood and finding it any sort of experience?
Only from people, obviously, that I'd know very well. I mean, like, you wouldn't like any old dirty neck. Oh, like, no, it's got to be like, you know, someone select, obviously. I did this sort of ritual with my boyfriend when I was 17, and we had to drink blood and eat raw meat. And to me, raw meat is far more repulsive than blood. I'm a vegetarian. And like, the thought of eating a beef burger just makes me think, ooh. But like blood, no problem at all.
Are you a vegetarian if you drink human blood? Or is a vegetarian just you don't eat animals?
Technically,
Or is
yeah.
that just your...
Well,
is
I
it
mean,
just
technically a
cannibalism?
vegetarian means that you're not a meat eater.
Yeah, you're not
So
eating meat.
yes.
So you can be
that's
vegetarian
fine.
and drink blood.
Yeah, because it's the same way that I would, like, I'm a vegetarian, but I drink milk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess you're just not vegan.
Yeah, you can't be a vegan and drink blood. And also, low-key, like, we've all kind of done it. If you've ever, like, accidentally, like, injured yourself, I'm just saying, we've all done it. I'm just saying,
Not
if
everybody will.
you've ever accidentally injured yourself, I'd like, you automatically, like, put your finger in your mouth or whatever. You can't tell me, okay, maybe some people actually don't. Maybe some people are like, oh, no. But, like, me, I've always been like, yeah. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're a vampire after all.
It
Connor.
tastes nice.
It depends. I think it tastes like copper.
No, I like
Some
it.
people's blood tastes sweet, but I don't know if that's normal.
Oh, I might just have diabetes. That could be it.
Your definition of a vampire is someone who drinks blood. Surely there's more to it than that.
This is my definition of a vampire.
Yes,
What's
but-
your definition of a vampire?
There's a lot more to it than that. If you really believe you are a vampire, do you sleep during the day? Do you...
That's just YouTubers. That's not strictly exclusive to vampires. That's just YouTubers.
My definition of vampire is someone who drinks blood.
But you say,
I drink
don't you,
blood.
Leslie, that you're allergic to the daylight? It brings you out in hives or impetigo or something?
Well, my parents live in Spain. I think they emigrated to avoid me, to be quite honest. I've not been able to go and see them. No, I don't like the sun at all.
Dr. Wilson, I still can't work out whether Leslie really thinks she's a vampire, whether she's pretending she is, whether she's completely deluded. But you're the expert. What's happening with Leslie?
Can't help suspecting she's a bit of an exhibitionist, and there is always the fear that it could become a passion or a fetish that could be carried over into taking the blood off unwilling victims. That is what would concern me.
All right, let's find the person whose blood Leslie drinks for fun, because he's here. Come on in, please, Mark. Mark, you say you have an inextricable bond with Leslie.
Oh, yeah.
Drinking blood, you say, is an exchange more intimate than any other you've ever known.
Yeah, definitely. Once you're into it and you realise the intimacy and how romantic it is, you're kind of hooked when you care for somebody in the same way.
See, like, that I completely understand. That I think is perfectly valid and acceptable. Like, if you are two consenting adults in a relationship and you're like, oh, I think it would be a really good bonding experience for us if we did this, if you were okay with it and you're like, yeah, then yeah, that's fine. Like, that's totally acceptable.
Also, they do get tested. Well, nowadays, a lot of people would get tested to make sure that it is safe to be drinking their blood.
We haven't done it yet. I said yeah.
Yeah.
I said yet. At this point in my life, I'm like, I'm not closing the door on anything. Who knows what could come up?
Nobody in the real world believes you can turn into a bat at will and fly about. And
So you can't then?
well, I've tried once or twice after several pints, but no, it never seems to get much off the ground.
Let's have a word from Dr. Wilson on all of this. There are some people in this audience who find this genuinely unpleasant, threatening, worrying. Do you find it the same thing?
Well, there are obviously degrees of it, ranging from the sort of the light-hearted fantasy and role-playing to more bizarre delusions. And I must admit that the idea of cutting holes in people's necks and drinking their blood is getting a little bit beyond the pale. The step beyond that, of course, is to do it to unwilling victims. Now, we have this couple's word for it that they don't do that, and they can maybe stop at that point.
The ring light was getting a bit much for our resident vampire of the channel.
Can't even handle that light, never mind son.
My fallout got worse. Got worse as the video went on. So that was the vampires on a talk show. I was hoping to get more actual like goth clips, like goths. I'm gonna have to deep dive YouTube and find some more. Like, I do have some clips from the 80s goth series we did a while back that I want us to react to in the future. If you guys are interested in seeing that, please let us know. This was interesting. It was 26 years ago and that psychologist had some very reasonable, even takes on everyone. And I definitely think that everyone sat on that stage was well aware of what they were doing. They were clearly there just to like kind of play it up and like antagonize. Obviously they're aware of that some of their lifestyle choices are going to seem bizarre and unusual to people, so they just try to like play it up for angles. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us again on the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, as it helps the channel out a lot. We will see you next time for hopefully another subculture styles video, or most likely a cosplay video that everyone's been waiting like 10 months for. But until next time, see you in your nightmares.